Hey everyone, Sparks back with another Goddess Victory Nikke video. It is almost time for the 1 year anniversary. We're almost exactly 1 month away. The Nier event just ended. Sad to see it go. We are right in the middle of this current school event, and so we're in a little bit of a space where things are slowing down and there isn't a ton of new content happening right at the moment, but there's a lot of stuff on the horizon. And so I think this is a great time to take a look back at kind of how things were at the beginning of the game and where things are going and what has happened with some of our characters in the story, as well as what has happened to them in power level mode. And I want to focus specifically on our main characters of Rappy, Anise, and Neon, and talk about their SR versions as well as their SSR versions and what we can expect from Rappy in particular. So get ready for a little bit of a nostalgia trip. Let's go ahead and start with Neon. I'll talk about her story first, I guess. She's very quirky. She's obsessed with firepower, and she's always talking about how she's a spy, because she was like sent there originally to be like keeping an eye on the commander, but then she's like a terrible spy because she's telling everybody that she's a spy. She's definitely there as like the comic relief, and I think she's largely stayed in that role. We'll talk a little bit about kind of like where she is yet. Honestly, I wasn't a big fan of Neon at the beginning, but I did use her despite her not necessarily being that useful at the beginning of the game. So talking about her for a power level perspective, she, kind of just like wasn't that good. I think just because Anne was so good for an SR version, she really kind of outshone Neon, because everybody who didn't have leader or volume was using the SR version of Anne, and Neon just kind of didn't get her time to shine. But I think that slowly people actually discovered her uses in crit-based teams. She's still not really top tier. I wouldn't say she's used very commonly, but I think people actually kind of found usefulness for her in some limited situations that maybe they actually didn't before. So in that case, she's actually kind of gotten better over time. She also got her SR version, of course, for Summer Neon. She now has her Bikini SSR version, and unfortunately that's been kind of disappointing. We've all kind of seen her as one of the worst collaboration units, so unfortunate. She looks really good, but her use case is just like really, really limited, and is a little underpowered, unfortunately. One thing also that's kind of cool that a lot of people don't know about the original Neon, just want to take a step back here because I forgot to mention this, is she has this limited skin in this like brown dress, which actually looks pretty nice. I didn't pick this up. I did get that first pass for Diesel to get her skin, but this is an early thing even as a day one player that I don't have, and so a little thing that day one players can have here for Neon that a lot of people don't even know exists. But yeah, so her power level, I would say for her normal SR version has, if anything, gone up a little bit over time, and her SR version, unfortunately, is kind of disappointing, or SSR version, rather. From a story perspective, I'd say she's still kind of the comic relief role, but her relationship with Anise has improved and grown. We also got to see her make friends with Noah, which was kind of cool. And I think, if anything, Neon has become sort of more endearing, and I've actually kind of grown to like her more as time has gone on. But speaking of Anise, Anise is probably like the main waifu at launch. They really played up her sex appeal and used like a lot of the common anime tropes, like her butt randomly ending up in, the commander's face or something like that. It's a little goofy, but, it's just, you can tell they kind of used her as the mode for a lot of that, like, fan service stuff to get people hooked in the, the initial parts of the story. We see this a lot in whether it's like anime, manga, video games, whatever. Anise definitely kind of like filled that role. I'd say her character has definitely developed more over time, although she's still kind of in, that same role as well, but sort of gotten more to her as well. She was like the foil to Rappy, I would say, who is much more serious and all business, and of course we'll get to Rappy in a minute here. But as far as Anise's power level, she was just kind of fun to use, and she taught you about manual aiming on bursts. So she was a good unit to have right away at the beginning. She was just a free SR unit, and honestly not that great, except over time, even more so than Neon, I'd say has become recognized for her power level, because she is now a staple in competitive arena teams because of her burst generation. And so people are using Anise probably way more nowadays than they actually did at launch, because we've just slowly discovered that like bursting fast in arena is just extremely useful, and there's no better unit to do that with than regular Anise. So pretty cool to see that she's actually had uses. And then of course we got her Summer SSR version, which is a top tier attacker, like literally one of the strongest units in the game. Which I had to definitely go in for maximum break for her, and probably the best limited time unit that we've gotten so far. As far as how she is in the story now, Summer Neon leans even more into her obsession with soda, which is kind of funny to see. Her visual aesthetics have gone even more waifu. She's probably one of the hottest units in the game in that swimsuit. And maybe the best looking in the game at all. So I mean, like Anise, I would say has improved quite a bit from the beginning to the end, from both her SR version and her SSR version, and how she's developed as a character. And I like Anise has been great, like from beginning to end, pretty much, with only getting better over time. Which brings us to Rappy, and Rappy is definitely like an all business kind of character. She was like very distrustful of you and Marion in the very beginning of the story. She's like, later on always just trying to keep Anise and Neon in line. They're always squabbling, and Rappy's just like, pull it together, we're like trying to accomplish this mission or whatever. And then later on we learn about her story with Absolute Squad and kind of her background and why Yunhua resents her so much. And I think Rappy is definitely one of the like deepest characters, I would say. Has a lot of character development. We slowly learn more about this mysterious connection to Red Hood. Red Hood, we find out, wants to destroy the Ark, and we don't really know why Rappy is connected to Red Hood exactly, but Red Hood is extremely powerful. Spoiler alert, but in the last chapters we've gotten, she takes on Chatterbox, Indivilia, and a weakened Nihilister at the same time and just like completely wrecks them. So she's amazing in the story. I think is kind of that more quiet, brooding kind of character, but is really interesting, has a very interesting past, and I'm really looking forward to see what they do with her in the future as well. As far as power level goes, she's probably the worst of the three of those like main SR characters. She did what she needed to do as a burst 3 attacker for the very beginning of the game, but you were probably replacing her as soon as you possibly could, and we really haven't found any other use for her again since then. I mean, there's basically just like no reason to use Rappy in any mode for any kind of squad, unfortunately. But and we also still have no SSR version of her. But there is huge hype for Red Hood and possibly getting an SSR Rappy on Anniversary. The thought is that probably we'll get like a Red Hood Rappy, and she'll be the big Pilgrim unit. Or Pilgrim-like unit that we'll get during Anniversary. So that's really exciting. Expectations are super high for that. Don't let us down, Shift Up. And then as far as the story now, she's grown closer to the commander. I think, opened up a little bit to Anise and Neon. She's developed some trust with the squad, the counters, and she's still on guard with outsiders, like when you meet the Pilgrims or with the Pillion. She's definitely always a little suspicious of people that she first meets, and like on guard and always trying to protect the commander. So we see her like open up in some ways, but still it has a lot of those walls up in general, which is good in some ways. She fills that role in the story well. Last we saw her on the surface in a big cliffhanger, so it'll be really exciting to see what happens with her in the next chapter, and just really excited to see what happens with the story in general, and what we'll get for a possible SSR version of Rappy. So let me know what you guys think of the story so far. We're going to end this video here with a mold. I just recently did a random 10 poll with blue tickets and pulled Dorothy. I couldn't think of her name. and just brought me up to Core 1 Dorothy, which is really cool. So now I'm going to do a Pilgrim mold, and I'm hoping that Pilgrim luck is still with me. So, I think this is going to be my 5th Pilgrim mold. Obviously, my hope here is to get a copy of Snow White. But let's see. If we can get any Pilgrim, this is going to be a win. Scarlet, okay. Okay, that's a win. You know, it's kind of crazy. I can't get another copy of Snow White. Obviously my first choice, but this is probably the 2nd or maybe 3rd best option I could have gotten. Anyway, just getting a Pilgrim in general is a huge win. I know a lot of you guys are out there hurting getting Rs and SRs out of your Pilgrim molds. So far I've had amazing luck. I think I've only missed on 1 Pilgrim mold so far, so I will take it. All right, let me know what your favorite main story character is. And, excuse me, consider giving me a sub if you want to see more Nikke videos. I also offer channel memberships if you want to contribute to the channel more directly. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.